Hello everyone and welcome back guys to Apex Online Racing Season 16. Finally we are back with our sort of proper league race, back with AOR on the F1 side of things. And we're back obviously on the Xbox One. Obviously if you guys did miss out on the evaluation race a couple of weeks back, it was, to be safe to say, an absolute mess for myself. But fortunately the coordinators decided, that based on my time trial times and the consistency I had shown when I wasn't getting screwed by the game, I did really sort of have the potential for Tier 1. So that is where I've been placed, obviously in Xbox One Tier 1. Obviously, sadly, a few of the big names have left, but obviously I don't think I'd be here if they hadn't. So, but we do still have very quick drivers like Surprise Me and Evo, as well as, Simon, who was obviously at the Pro Draft, as well as Evo, and then a couple of other fairly notable names down the order as well here. But we're at Australia then, round 1 of the season, and safe to say this race is probably one of the weirdest and sort of action-packed I think I've ever had in league racing, for many different reasons. So I would highly recommend sort of watching most of this, because it is definitely, I think, one that I'm sure you guys will probably remember here. But we're on my bank lap at the moment, the start of the session, fairly low grip, and just sort of testing the hot lap mode on the ERS deployment, see how much it will wear through. Not a particularly committed lap, there was easily about another second on this, once the grip levels sort of come up, although, it's fairly good on the whole. It's safe. It's what I call a safe lap on the whole. You can see cocking up in towards the penultimate corner there, but obviously, as I said, not too much to worry about that. Out of the final corner to use the DRS, unfortunately run out of the DRS down towards the line. That's going to cost me a huge amount down towards the line, so I need to make sure, obviously, on my actual run that I do save that. So at the end of the session, you can see we are currently down in P14 with 25 seconds to go of this session. It's all getting very tightly congested through the final couple of corners here. Car Powerful slowing it down right in front of me there and just not getting on the power out of the final corner there. But out of the final corner, onto my final flying lap then of qualifying. We should be able to improve. As I said, there was still quite a lot of time on this lap here. Unfortunately, we've got no delta. I'm not too sure why, but we do start a lap with about 5 seconds to go. Take curb, turn 1's curb. Fairly nice there. Use DRS on the exit of the corner now, coming down in towards turn 3, brake just at the black box, going to drop it down all the way into 2 on the ERS deployment mode, so we do have enough up towards the start finish line on the end of the lap. But unfortunately we run a little bit wide, and I must admit turn 4's curb there is a bit inconsistent. Sometimes it won't count the lap, other times it will, and now we're going to flick it back up into hot lap mode. We're going to keep going. Unfortunately now that mistake did cost me a good couple of tenths as well here. We're still going to continue on with this lap. Missed the apex going on towards the, well, not really the back straight, sort of this back kink in towards the fast chicane here. Down up all the way into 7th gear here, but not going to go up to 8th. Drop it down back into 6th. Then not a particularly good run through the chicane as well. They don't quite utilise the track space well enough there. And now down in towards the final couple of corners. Brake a little bit too early there. Down, unfortunately, take it down one too many gears there, which was just another small mistake that I wasn't really happy with there. That's an alright run in towards the 3rd last corner there, breaking down in towards the penultimate corner there. Don't get the power down in the way I would have liked there, and unfortunately don't quite maximise the final turn as well. But down towards the line though, it is going to be a mediocre lap at best. Around 1 minute 20.3. I definitely could have got down into the 19s there, which, yeah, as I said, a little bit unfortunate, but still, it was okay, considering obviously I invalidated the lap. I would have probably been a bit more annoyed, if I ran a 19, sort of an 8 or 9, and didn't actually get the lap in there. So unfortunately, we do start down in P15 there, ahead of Vodka, Hamilton, Cry Lockdown, and EVR Reynolds. None of them setting a lap. I'm not too sure why. On the whole, I think Hamilton actually crashed out early on in the session. The other 3 are not 100% sure as to why. But here we are then on the grid, ready for round 1 of the AOR Xbox One Season 16 F1 League. Looking to, well, I don't really know what my aims are for this season. Honestly, I just want to remain consistent and somewhat relevant over the course of the season here. But on the grid, ready for round 1 here in Melbourne. Not a particularly strong track for myself, but one that I do enjoy. But on the grid then, it is 5 lights. And it's a lights out, and away we go off to a fairly poor start there. Unfortunately, I did keep the revs quite low, but unfortunately lost it going through 2nd and 3rd gear. It's going to be CRL Hamilton. It's going to fly past me down in towards turn 1 there. A little bit of contact. I think that was with Cry Lockdown. I didn't realise the Mclaren, I think it was, on his inside was going to try and keep the nose up there then. But coming down in towards turn 3 here, obviously a very heavy braking zone. Are we going to be able to keep it nice and tidy? Unfortunately not there, but there is a huge amount of contact between, I think it was ZL and a couple of the Renaults there. Unfortunately just locked up on the inside there, if I'm not mistaken. And well, that's going to give us up 2 places now, up into P13, unlucky for some. But we will certainly take that off the start here. And yeah, for me, as I sort of said, I basically, you know, for me, the aim is just to try and keep it clean. Obviously, the nerves were quite high in my very first race in AOR Xbox One. I hadn't been able to do as much practice as I would have liked. You know, a couple of other esports comps have come up, as well as Forza Horizon 4 as well. So yeah, I was a little bit low on practice on the whole, but I still felt like I had the pace to potentially fight with a few of the guys in this split. Coming out on the back straight here, down in towards the final couple of corners. We've got Cryo Lockdown trying to look up my inside. We do break a little bit early there. We're a little bit worried about what MVP0 was going to do. You know, I just don't want to lose the front wing on the opening lap, and Cryo is going to be able to get down the inside in that Red Bull now, moves himself up into P13 there. But you've got people like Cryo, Hamilton and Reynolds that will just be quicker than me in these early stages of the season. You know, it's Reynolds out of the final corner there. I think it does give me a tiny bit of a push out of the final corner, but now on the run towards turn 1, he's going to try and look a little bit of a lunge down the inside there. Unfortunately, runs me out of road. Not too sure what that was all about as we come through turn 1, and I'm not really going to fight him. I've seen what his connection can be like in the past. I don't really want to try and gamble all too much for that. Vodka gets down my inside, but we're going to swing it right back around the outside through the next corner there. Unfortunately, I think it was Feisty Ted tries to get it back up the inside of him there as well, so we almost go 3 wide into the next corner there. Unfortunately, a little bit of contact made between all 3 of us there, but I do hold on to P15 for now, so we basically broke even off the start of this race here, and now it's just a case of trying to settle down into a bit of a rhythm here and just focusing on my own race. Onto lap 4 there, you can see we're losing the back end ever so slightly out on towards sector 2 here. Just clip of the grass on the inside there. Unfortunately, that's going to completely ruin my run in. We're going to take to the grass there. Zelchi is going to be able to move right around my outside there. Obviously, nothing I can particularly do about that except for keep on the rear of him to try and pile on the pressure over these next couple of laps here. And onto lap 5, you see he's making a little bit of a mistake through turn 1. And once again, we're going to be on the outside. Coming down in towards turn 3 here. Are we going to be able to make this work? Once again, brake at the black box. Zelchi does brake a little bit earlier than myself. We're going to try and squeeze him a little bit onto the curb, but we do get the better traction on the exit of the corner. The inside in towards turn 4 there, and we now re-inherit P15 of this race here. So I will certainly take that. But obviously over the next couple of laps, most of these ultra soft runners will be starting to make their first pit stop of the day. We're just going to try and take this set of these soft tyres as far as possible, you know, to around sort of lap 20, and then just see where we end up there. But there's been huge contact down at T1. No idea what that was all about, but that's Jason and Langman that have both been massively held up by that one, and that's going to move us up now into P8 of this race here. We're now behind my teammate P1R Brown as well here, so hoping we can try and get up to him. Obviously a name that I did race with all the way back in season 14, as well as obviously back in F2. So we've been consistently moving up in the AOR splits as well here. But on to the end though of lap 9, you can see we're now all the way up into P6 of this race as well. That Cryo Lockdown is going to get screwed by the curb in towards this final sector and be sent into the wall there, which was very, very unfortunate for him. But that's going to be us up into P5, and I think P1R Brown, as well as one of the Sauber drivers, if I'm not mistaken, or it might be a Ferrari, is going to dive into on the end of that lap there, which means we're now up into the podium places of our very first race. Obviously, we're taking with a pinch of salt in the fact that, we're going to end up a whole lot further down the order in the second half of this race here. But I will certainly take this at this early stage of the race. We're a third of the way through now, and I'm really, really starting to settle in to a bit of a rhythm here. Carl Powerful has unfortunately dropped out of the race, or I think that was a crash down at T1. Now you can see onto lap 14 of this race. Surprise and I think it was Evo have both been able to get past me at this stage of the race. I wasn't going to hold them up. I'm just not in the same race as them at this moment in time, so there's no point just trying to make enemies at this stage of the season. But unfortunately, we've had a screen freeze there, and well, we've been booted from the game. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I do love this from Codemasters. They're not really too sure what that was all about. My Wi-Fi on my computer was absolutely fine. My Wi-Fi on my phone was absolutely fine. Everything like that. Fortunately, Ginger Andy would, come to save my day, one of the commentators there, and actually get me back in to the race there. But yeah, that was a bit unfortunate for myself. We've lost roughly, according to my mates, about 15 to 20 seconds from that, which, yeah, I was really, really frustrated with on the whole. But we'll try and get back in to the car now. We'll take control of the car once more there. You can see we're all the way now back down, I think, to about P9, P10 at this stage of the day. So honestly, from here, it was just a case of just trying to get through to the end of the race there. See, yeah, we're back behind Cyril and Hamilton. We're just ahead of Jason there, and obviously they pit, and I was pretty much with them by the time they did make their pit stops there. So yeah, we've lost out a huge amount of time from that. But on to lap 18, and we've now got gearbox issues. Honestly, I'm not too sure what the laugh or cry over that one. I really don't know how RNG like this can exist in, you know, an esports focused scene. You know, I did actually tweet, well, I tweeted out, and a couple of other people sort of tweeted out to Lee Mather after this one, because things like this and the DRS failure, they can't exist in esports. You know, RNG, things like that just shouldn't be allowed in this sort of event and that sort of thing. So he did confirm to me, in all fairness, that they are focusing on an esports build that sort of removes the RNG factors, you know, DRS failure, all the things like that, mechanical issues that, well, I know people say, well, it's meant to be realistic, but in esports it's meant to be an equal playing field for everyone, and that's sort of the point, you know. But yeah, we'll gloss over that. We'll stop with the rant there. But on to lap 19, obviously, you can see we did make our pit stop onto a set of these supers that we're going to try and take to the end. We're down all the way in at P14 here, but hopefully over these next couple of laps, we should be able to try and move our way slowly but surely back up through the order, set the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 23.0 there, which I will certainly take in my very first race in Xbox One. And you can see now on to lap 23 here. And well, this, unfortunately, you can see we were closed up to Vodka Shop, but just look at the gears over these next couple of corners. We've lost 5th gear there, which is absolutely wonderful and useful in this race. 5th gear, not... Oh, well, it is obviously an important gear around this circuit, but it's not absolutely critical. I'd say 4th is probably more important. You know, 4th or 6th, I sort of feel 5th is a bit of a weird gear in these races here. It's not really too important around a lot of corners. I think this one is probably the only one where it is actually useful some of the time, but by the end of lap 27, the gearbox issue had cleared itself up. It has been costing me a huge amount of time there. MVP 0 has unfortunately retired from the race as well here, but we're all over the back of his teammate, Team Vodka Shot there. We're going to try and look down the inside in towards turn 1 here. I think we are going to be basically all the way ahead of him there. We're going to give him the room on the outside nonetheless, and now we move ourselves up into P12 of this race. It will obviously now move up into P11 here, as obviously MVP 0 has weirdly crashed out in a very, very strange place there. Unfortunately, I have one of those moments, you know, where you commit to the braking zone and you're not too sure whether that car is going to be ghosted or not. Fortunately, he was, but it did cost me a little bit there. And now onto the final lap of the race. We're starting to close up to Cryo Lockdown here. The gap is saying it's about 2.6 seconds, but it just isn't. It's a bit of a timing loop glitch, obviously, with the penalties. With the disconnect, even from myself there. But we're slowly but surely closing up to the back of Cryo. I would like to try and get past him on this final lap of the race here, coming through these first few corners here. We're just trying to close up that gap. The tyres are really starting to go off, but nowhere near as badly as Cryo's. If I'm not mistaken, he had to do nearly 20 laps on a set of super soft tyres there. No idea what witchcraft he pulled to be able to do that one, but yeah, it's going to be very, very tight towards the end of this race. Evo, though, will come through for the race victory. A fantastic job by him. Take home the opening race win of the season, puts himself on the full 25 points there. I think Surprise came through in P2, VSR Simon in P3, but the battle between myself and that Lockdown is not over just yet as we come through the final, well, the fast chicane there. Both of us not exactly taking the cleanest lines through there, but down in towards the final couple of corners then. We're going to have a look to the outside. It's getting a little bit desperate from myself here, but Cryo does just about give me the room. We're going to be on the outside once more as we come in towards the third last corner, but we do get the run onto the inside, in towards the final couple of corners here. Again, unfortunately, a little bit of contact does run me out wide a little bit to him. He does try to send it up the inside through the final corner there, but round through the final sector of the race, we are going to come through for P10 there, and I will certainly take that there. It does say P11 because of the weird timing loop glitch there. On the stream, it did come through with me in P10 quite clearly as well there, and I think Cryo did say on his screen he came through for P10, but unfortunately he didn't have any footage of that there. But yeah, unfortunately, it's completely irrelevant. I made a bit of a mistake in this race, unfortunately. When you disconnect, you shouldn't actually be rejoining. Unfortunately, supposedly the stability isn't good enough. Now, I know quite a lot of people have done this across all of the splits, you know, and according to pretty much everyone, there was no issues with it on the whole. So yeah, unfortunately, it will mean that I'll have to take a disqualification from the opening round of the season there. A bit unfortunate, you know, not really what I wanted, but ultimately for me, it was still a huge confidence build in that Grand Prix, obviously, considering I disconnected, and as I said, lost about 15 to 20 seconds. You know, we certainly proved that we have got fairly good potential. You know, I know there were quite a few people that weren't happy with me getting into split one, you know, so I'd like to think I proved quite a lot of the doubters wrong in the opening round of the season there. But yeah, what a crazy race that was on the whole. Had pretty much everything. Disconnects, crashes, mechanical failures, all things like that on the whole there. But for me, at the end of the day, to come through in that place, obviously, if we have a look and say, obviously, I did lose, you know, 15 seconds from that, I would have probably been around, I think it was EVR Reynolds, I would have been around there as well. So certainly proven that we did have the theoretical pace, and obviously without that disconnect and the bad luck towards the end, we certainly could have been able to do it there. But there we are then, guys. That has been the end of the Australian Grand Prix. Hopefully, you know, you have enjoyed this video. Make sure you do like and subscribe if you do want to see more next time out at the Bahrain Grand Prix. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for the continued support on the channel. I think we're now less than 200 away from 10,000, so it would be greatly appreciated if you could help me get one step closer. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for the Bahrain Grand Prix.